There are many things that make up the DNA of a good story. We have things like setting, theme, plot, pacing, but what makes or breaks a story for me is the quality and effort put into the characters of that story. So because of this, and the fact that this is an anime channel, I've taken it upon myself to cover and analyze as many of the greatest characters to ever grace Japanese animation as I can. And in this video, we're covering a character who was a part of one of the most fascinating plot reveals in all of shonen, the pacifist who committed genocide, Itachi Uchiha.
Each of us lives dependent and bound by our individual knowledge and our awareness. All that is what we call reality. However, both knowledge and awareness are equivocal. One's reality might be another's illusion. We all live inside our own fantasies.
If I said you could stop any atrocity of your choosing, but only after imposing that atrocity on your closest friends and family, would you take that offer? You could put an end to world hunger, but you'd have to starve your closest friends. Or you could distribute wealth and resources equally across the globe, putting an end to poverty-stricken lands, but only after putting your family in the doghouse and letting them suffer while having nothing. Chances are you said no, and understandably so. The average sane person could never bring themselves to cause suffering to the people they care about most, even if it were for the greater good of society or even humanity. To be honest, most people couldn't put themselves in harm's way for the greater good of the world, but let's just say you're one of the small few people who said yes. Is it still a yes if you get no credit for this action but still get all the hate for attacking your friends and family and letting them suffer? Is it still a yes if you're forced to leave your home and be on the run for the rest of your life? Is it still a yes if you have to commit this devastating act as a child? Don't worry, this isn't me trying to get you to agree or disagree with the actions and decisions that Itachi took. It's not me trying to get you to resonate with the decisions of a literal fictional character. I just want you to think about a few things before we start diving into the psyche of Itachi. The first time we ever get a chance to lay eyes on Itachi is when Kurenai and Asuma confront him and Kasame after noticing them at a food shop in the village. As a kid, not knowing who he was or making the connection that this may be the person Sasuke has been talking about taking revenge on since the beginning of the series, I was still able to tell Itachi wasn't going to be some average Joe who would be gone in the next few episodes, despite it being easy to get that impression at first. Itachi's introduction isn't too long after the Sound Village's assault on the Leaf, and that was a very high stakes arc in the series. You barely get a chance to catch your breath before these two unknown enemies pop up and take a stroll in the village seemingly with ease. But as Itachi takes off his hat and we get a shot of his Sharingan and hear the name Uchiha, it's hard not to have the same puzzled look that Asuma and Kurenai have here once they realize who they're about to confront. This is the man who wiped out one of the most prestigious clans in the entire village, the man who's played a major part in the events that transpired with Sasuke, who's arguably tied for the most important character in the entire series, or at bare minimum, the second most important character in the entire series. Asuma acknowledges how bold Itachi is to have shown back up in the Leaf after having massacred his entire clan, and this moment is one of a long line of mental manipulation and opinion swaying Kishimoto imposes on us as the audience when it comes to Itachi. Itachi warns Asuma and Kurenai that they need to stay out of the way because it's not his goal or desire to have them killed. Before you know who Itachi is and what his feelings truly are, this is nothing more than a throwaway smug bad guy line. It's like Itachi's talking down on them, saying that they aren't worth his time because they aren't a part of his goal or mission at the moment. Top of that, right after, Kasame asks Itachi if he can go ahead and kill Asuma since he's annoyed with how much Asuma is talking, to which Itachi responds by telling Kisame not to go too over the top. Of course, Kasame can kill them with ease, but Itachi alludes to the idea that if Kasame goes too over the top to instantly take them down, he'll draw too much attention and they'll have a much bigger problem on their hands. The confrontation then fully escalates and Itachi puts Asuma and Kurenai on their back foot before Kakashi steps in to save the day. At least that's how it appears it's going to play out. When Kakashi shows up, Itachi is one of the first notable characters not to have some super gas or complete change in demeanor because he knows who Kakashi is and has so much respect for him. Itachi doesn't have this fearful moment that we've seen so many antagonists have up until this point in the series, where they lay their eyes on Kakashi and gasp and go, "It's the legendary copy ninja Kakashi." From his perspective, Itachi views Kakashi no more of a threat than Asuma and Kurenai. But then Itachi proceeds to make light work of Kakashi using the Tsukiyomi, an ability that allows him to put Kakashi in an illusion without even having to lay a finger on him. Itachi does this to a character who at this point we've only known to be one of the pinnacles of the Naruto world. This and this alone would have been enough for Itachi to inflate as a serious threat in the eyes of the audience, but what follows after this is what turns Itachi into a true villain. The next time we see Itachi is the first flashback of the Uchiha massacre. We get to see it from Sasuke's point of view, a scared kid who's watching the person he looked up to and cared about most in the world destroy and change not only his current life, but the trajectory of his life forever. Itachi wipes out all of his clan in a single night, and when the confrontation finally comes with his little brother, he chooses not to kill him. Itachi gives Sasuke a fate arguably worse than death. He makes him watch the massacre he just committed over and over and over again. But even worse than that, he brands Sasuke for life with the curse of hatred and loneliness. This action gives us the same view of Itachi as Sasuke. It's why the first time we ever see the massacre, it's through the eyes of Sasuke. Kishimoto is building the same hate and resentment Sasuke has for his older brother within us. But Kishimoto finally pushes our hate for Itachi to the limit when... Enough. Context is somewhat needed for this moment. Since the beginning of the series, Sasuke has made it known he's on a pursuit to become more powerful for this moment. As a Sasuke fan, this is a big event you look forward to in your first watch. Sasuke is finally going to complete the main goal he's had since the beginning of the series. This character we see who's been cursed so heavily by his past, only to then be crushed, realizing he's still not good enough. I've sat and watched Naruto with people for the first time who hate Sasuke, and even in this moment, a lot of them can't help but feel bad for him. We've just seen Itachi put an end to the dreams of a character we spent over 80 episodes with at this point. And the fact that Itachi seems almost to enjoy crushing Sasuke's dreams in this moment, and this confrontation ends with him running off again without a scratch on him, makes you feel frustrated and annoyed, but most importantly, you can almost inherit that same hate Sasuke has. The hate we as the audience has runs even deeper though, because this moment leads to Sasuke defecting from the Leaf in pursuit of more power, turning into an anti-hero and siding with Orochimaru, the man who almost destroyed the entire Leaf just an arc ago. In a pursuit of power, he separates himself from any and all bonds he holds dear, including his best friend, Naruto. And all you can think of when you see this tragic moment of Sasuke walking away is he did this because of Itachi. This mysterious hidden force that Sasuke has been ranting about since the beginning of the show finally shows his face, and when he pops up, he completely disrupts the flow of the entire series. Of course, you don't think Sasuke is powerful enough to take down Itachi at this point, especially considering what Itachi did to Kakashi, but still, to do it in the way that he did it, you can't help but hate him. Time passes, Sasuke matures and ages, and we finally get the rematch we've been looking forward to. Sasuke, now a battle-hardened teenager with more hate and lust for revenge than ever, this will be his last time standing across from his brother as a rival and enemy. In what is one of the most brilliant fights in all of Naruto, it manages to excel in not only the storytelling department, but also the action department. It's hard not to feel a certain level of tense energy as the opening moments between Sasuke and Itachi are them putting each other in illusions using the power of their Sharingan. Us as the audience have no idea what's in store for this fight. The calmness Itachi has explaining the history of the Mangekyo Sharingan to Sasuke is unnerving, to say the least. But when Itachi finishes the story and tells Sasuke what his goal is involving him, it's hard not to have goosebumps from the drastic change in demeanor Itachi has. From calm and cool one second to an almost demon-like expression the next, it serves to reignite that hate and fear that may have died with all the space in between the last time you see Itachi in the Naruto series and when you see him again here in Naruto Shippuden. Itachi tells Sasuke that he's going to take his eyes and reach eternal power. He tells Sasuke that this is the selfish reason he decided to keep him alive, so that he could guarantee the ultimate power later. He conditions Sasuke to fill his heart with nothing but hate in an effort to do nothing but create great opportunity for himself later. Sasuke hears all this, reaffirming his hate, the same as us, and the battle starts. The battle that's been building up from the moment Itachi stepped on screen. It's one of the most moving battles in the series for many reasons, one major being it manages to balance the charm of spectacle and the charm of simplicity. They go back and forth for a while, having momentary banter in between each exchange, until Sasuke thinks he has Itachi finally put down, before Itachi reveals the Susanoo for the first time and has seemingly sealed Sasuke's fate, winning the battle of attrition as Sasuke is out of chakra and exhausted. Because of his exhaustion, Sasuke slips and allows Orochimaru to break free. It's something I personally forgot happened early in the series, but Sasuke did indeed absorb Orochimaru, so because of this, he has a piece of Orochimaru's chakra locked deep within him. This momentary slip-up from Sasuke allows Orochimaru to appear in full force, seemingly creating an entirely new dynamic to this battle in an instant. Orochimaru proclaims that thanks to Itachi, he will now take Sasuke's body and achieve his original mission. And this leads to a subtle yet majorly impactful and important moment for Itachi's character. It's small and easy to miss, but the instant Itachi hears this, he loses his cool. The moment he hears that Sasuke's in danger, his entire demeanor seems to instantly change once again, like when he was explaining the Mangekyo Sharingan and why he needed Sasuke's eyes. This is the first crack in the entire illusion Itachi has created up until this point. Before Orochimaru can even finish his thought, Itachi lights up at the idea that Sasuke might be in trouble, and he instantly takes out Orochimaru without thinking twice about it. At face value, this can simply be interpreted as Itachi making sure he doesn't lose out on the internal Mangekyo Sharingan, because obviously, if Orochimaru were to take Sasuke's body, he would lose out on the chance to get the power that he seeks. Kishimoto doesn't give too much time to harp on this moment though, as Itachi instantly rids Sasuke of Orochimaru, and then begins his final march to Sasuke to end this battle once and for all. Itachi seemingly has Sasuke pinned against the wall with no other options of winning, but right as it seems over for Sasuke, Itachi meets him with a smile, and it's over. Itachi leaves us with the impression that he gave it his all, but fell short at the hands of his little brother. A fitting end to die at the hands of the last remaining member of the clan you completely wiped from history. In most stories, a character's death signals the end of their role in said story, but with Itachi, his death is only the beginning. One of the earliest memories we ever get to see from Itachi is him being on a war-infested battlefield with bodies surrounding him at every corner. There's a soldier pleading for water from one of the opposing nations of the Leaf, and Itachi hears this and almost instinctively decides to help. But when the soldier realizes Itachi is a part of the Leaf village, he tries to kill Itachi despite him being a child, and we see a different set of instincts kick in when Itachi kills the man without a second thought. It's jarring, and at a first glance it's hard to tell if Itachi was actually the person to kill him or if he's saved by his father, but it soon becomes clear that it was indeed Itachi that killed the man. This moment and this moment alone from Itachi's childhood would have been enough to explore and foreshadow the conflicting ideas within himself. Itachi being only a kid during the Third Great Ninja War puts him in a mental gray space, not being able to understand why the world the way it is, but being fully aware that he doesn't like it. Soon after the war ends, the Nine-Tail attack happens. Sasuke is born at this point, and during the attack, Itachi makes it a point to protect him with a smile at all costs. Afterwards, when the attack is over, Itachi greets a girl that he helped get to safety during it, and he tells her that he's glad she didn't die. There's nothing wrong in theory about what he's saying in this moment, but saying this to a person, especially after a true life or death moment, seems cold and unnerving coming from someone who's no older than 8. From this moment on, we get to see Itachi continuing to push forward as fast and as hard as he can, trying to get as strong as possible and grasp a true understanding about what it is to be a shinobi. Itachi, at such a young age, because of the darkness around him from the world, becomes stricken with an awful case of nihilism. He doesn't let this weigh heavily on him for too long though, or rather life itself doesn't, as the ever-present negative circumstances surrounding Itachi forces him to slide into a fitting but complex role of being a protector. He understands his position and makes a pact to himself at a young adolescent age to bring peace to the world in whatever way he can. It's not new news that Kishimoto took a lot of Buddhist ideas and implemented them into the story of Naruto, but one symbolic message that seems to maybe stem from Buddhism that I rarely see connected is Itachi and crows. Crows have a few traditional literary symbolic definitions, but in Buddhist ideologies they are most often connected with being the earthly form of the deity Mahakala. On first glance, this deity is intimidating in its depiction, but its role in Buddhism is actually that of a protector, just like Itachi. When Itachi is going on a bender to Sasuke about the Mangekyo Sharingan, in a moment I referenced earlier that makes him look almost demonic, the imagery above him in this moment looks very similar to Mahalaka. This deity again supposedly took the earthly form of a crow, an animal that in most stories is seen as a bad omen and a sign of evil, or at bare minimum having an evil stigma attached to it, meaning at first glance you have nothing but bad thoughts about this deity without the context of who or what it actually is and its purpose, which we find out later perfectly matches up with who Itachi is as a character. At a quick glance, the massacre of the Uchiha clan is a villainous act that can't be explained or redeemed in any fashion, but when finally Sasuke puts Itachi to rest, Kishimoto takes full advantage of the connection and bond he's built between us and Sasuke, with Obito finally dropping the famous bombshell that Itachi killed off his clan to protect the Leaf Village and, more importantly, stop a civil war and the continued bloodshed of innocent people. There are a lot of events and flashbacks in Naruto that play way too many times in my personal opinion, but one flashback that truly benefits from playing over and over and over again is the massacre of the Uchiha clan. Every time it plays, there's a new detail added, there's a new layer given, and the slow shifting from Sasuke's perspective the first time we see it all the way to Itachi's perspective the last time we see it is a thing of beauty. The flipping and character perspective of this event perfectly aligns with the flipping of perspective we as the audience have on this moment. The village gives Itachi the choice to take matters into his own hands and end his family himself, or to wait for the village to inevitably do it and for him to die right alongside them. During all this madness, there seems to be only one thing that keeps Itachi grounded though, and that's his baby brother Sasuke. Sasuke always allows Itachi to realign and compose himself, and ultimately his actions are decided based on what he, a child, felt like what was best for himself and his brother. He simply wanted a way for Sasuke to be able to avoid the pain and heartache that comes along with the life that he's had to live and many, many others have had to live. But after realizing that wouldn't be possible, he decided that he would be the focal point of all of Sasuke's hate, and a part of him wanted that. A part of him wanted to be judged for his actions, to be judged for playing a role in the world he had come to resent, to be judged for trying his hardest to keep his baby brother out of the line of fire, but through that effort putting him right in the middle of it all. I think interpretation should always be up to the viewer and watcher of a story. A writer can do their best to push their own personal interpretation of a story, but ultimately the more complex your story becomes, the more factors that can arise to change their interpretation of it for your audience. That being said, I think the idea that Itachi is a good guy who was just pretending to be bad is an oversimplification of something much deeper. I don't think from his original introduction, Kishimoto had all this planned out. I simply think that's giving Kishimoto way too much credit. So because of this, there are lots of holes to poke in Itachi's story if you simply reduce him to a tragic hero who lived his final days as a spy. He's a flawed character not only narratively, but in a literal sense in terms of how he was handled in certain moments, but I think that helps contribute to his greatness. The mastery of illusionary abilities, being able to orchestrate an amazing illusion on the person he loved most in the world, is interesting on its own. But what makes Itachi stand out is that he falls short of his goal. His brother still ends up having to deal with pain and hatred of the world, and he has to come to terms with the fact that he's a direct contributor of that. Itachi never looks to be absolved of his sins. He just gives Sasuke insight into why he made the decisions that he did, and above all else, lets Sasuke know that whatever he decides to do from this point forward, he will always care about him. Itachi realizes the ultimate way to help Sasuke not walk the path that he did is to make him understand that he's not alone and that the love he gives him is completely condition free. Itachi understands that Sasuke is well gone past the point of where he can help change his heart. That's why he passes it off to Naruto instead. With his last words, Itachi hopes that he can just pass along the same warmth he once did to his baby brother when they were children. In the end, I feel as though personally Itachi's tale is one of many sides and lessons, one being that sometimes conflict is unavoidable, and if you wish to maintain what's precious to you, it's up to you to fight for it and hold it dear. Avoiding outcomes can cause just as much pain and sorrow as the outcome itself, but the biggest lesson I feel as though we can all get from Itachi is not isolating yourself if you're someone who seeks a form of change. It takes many hands to change the way of the lands, and Itachi is the result of not understanding that. It's a harsh lesson to have to learn so young, which is why Itachi is wise well beyond his years in the end. But to come to terms with this and still say goodbye to the person he loved most, with a smile on his face and no bitterness or hate in his heart from the unfair hand he was dealt, is what makes him truly one of the greatest in anime.